Welcome back to Add, Edit, Delete. I am Mike here with Cody and Mark, and we are fortunate we have a special guest with us today. What we're always trying to do is bring our learnings forward based on our experience in our entrepreneurial endeavors to try and accelerate your growth with your business. And we're fortunate to have a friend in with us today, Kaila,
Hello.
who I've learned a lot from. We do a lot of spend generally. I have a lot of oversight over marketing budgets that have run well in excess of $3 million a month and run some smaller budgets. And it's always about efficiency and function and, trying to find high intent buyers is where I spend a lot of money, trying to get that dollar back in profitably. Mark and Cody are judging the intent levels of those people. Are they really buyers? Are they kicking the tires? And you are really an expert when it comes to TikTok.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun. I think it takes a lot of my time. But I understand it has a place in the marketing landscape. And, I know you do a lot of different consulting. TikTok can mean a couple of different things for a couple of different brands. How do you generally guide a business who wants to kind of enter into TikTok and say we want to have a presence there?
So my favorite kind of businesses to take on are the ones that have no TikTok and no social media and just are trying to get there from square one. Those are the best because you get to start over and just teach them from A to Z. There's no bad habits to break, nothing. So we basically just look at what they have and try to separate the business owner from the product just a little bit, because usually what happens is you're so close to your product that you stop seeing what's interesting about it. So a lot of people, if you ask them, tell me what's so great about your product, and they're like, oh, well, it's ethically made, or like we hand stitch it, or this is a family run company. It's like, that's cool, but that's not stopping anyone from scrolling. So the first thing we do is pull them apart from business owner to like, let's look at the outside. What makes this so interesting about this? What is the one juiciest thing that you can tell me about this? And it's like, oh, well, actually, Nicki Minaj wore them. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
A really good hook, a great call to action.
Yeah. So, but the first step is like untangling them from their own product and pulling them away from it. And then once we can get them to like see that, we start mapping out like, okay, juicy, not juicy, trash can. We pull it all apart. And then we test like 10 different pieces of content around each one. So one's going to be like super polished and professional, really high end. One is going to be, maybe just they're kind of sitting in their office and doing like a selfie mode. And one's going to be with the product being thrown up and down. And we test all these different creatives, see which ones people latch onto. And then we go create 10 more, like the one that performs the best. And like just doing this, like one of my favorite clients was, they were a Jewish restaurant. They didn't think there was anything interesting about their food. They just wanted to tell people like the quality is good and the hummus is delicious. And I was like, nobody cares. Nobody actually cares. Like, well, let's actually talk about what's interesting. And me on the outside, I can say, oh, what's interesting is that it's kosher. I don't know what kosher is. I don't know what that means. So we made a piece about being kosher prepared food that anyone could make. It got 10 million views.
Wow.
And it was their third post to go up. So like that is just the difference between pull yourself out of it, get on the outside of it, and see what someone else thinks is interesting. Not you.
Right.
Yeah, she's editing and deleting.
That's what that 10 pieces of content are, right? You put them all out there, and then based on which ones are working, do more of
like that.
What works, get rid of what doesn't. I mean, that's running a marketing portfolio, and you're doing it in a TikTok environment.
In a more fun.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what is that restaurant, for instance? What are they looking for as an outcome from that type of virality?
Their big dream was franchising. And through this one piece of content, they were able to ramp up their foot traffic like crazy. They got contacted by Manischewitz. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's like a cracker brand. They got reposted by a bunch of the big influencers in their space. They got so much exposure from this piece that it was like the first step in making that dream come true. And the reason they wanted this so badly was because they were neighbors with Crumble, and they saw what Crumble did. How they went
Premium
from
brand.
yeah, they went from this little cookie shop to like $100 million cookie brand. And it's like, how did that happen? It happened through TikTok. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was their inspiration.
Oh yeah, because they're sitting there looking. They're like, "Why is that line out the door? I've had those cookies, and I don't even like them that much.
Right.
Like, what's going on?" It's TikTok, baby.
Brand value.
Yeah.
Right? Brand value, which is intangible in a lot of measurement ways. That's why I was like, how would they measure their ROI on that? And it's a
Yeah.
much longer term, it's a longer time horizon view on brand than buying leads and
Yeah.
either those people buy from you or not, right?
And that's kind of the hard thing too when it's like a restaurant or something that they're not directly buying online. With e-commerce, it's going to be pretty instant. Like they're just clicking through and they're buying as soon as you go viral and you see it, you feel it immediately. But with this, it's like, well, are we seeing more people yet? Are we seeing more people? And then they started seeing Yelp reviews, and then they started seeing an increase in foot traffic. It came in over time because first they have to see it, and then they have to see the second piece that you put up afterwards, and then they're like, you know what, that does look delicious. I'm gonna go. So it's different for sure.
How do you, like, we're in all the social medias except TikTok, which hopefully not for long, right? But how do you differentiate when people are like, oh, I'm running plenty of Facebook ads, they don't work? What would you say to someone who said that to you regarding the opportunity that might exist in TikTok?
You mean like specifically?
We're doing paid ad. I ran $20,000 last month in Meta, in Facebook and Instagram, and paid ads, targeted, going after audiences, trying to get them to want to engage in one of our businesses, and nobody bought. Nobody bought. People showed interest, but nobody bought. How might that differ, or should I have different expectations in TikTok for
Yeah.
lead gen?
Yeah. So with TikTok, organic leads tend to be way more qualified than anything you're going to see through paid. They're just, people are primed to buy. They have really loose wallets. They're ready to go. And because you have that peeled back layer of like, you're not feeling like you're talking to an influencer or in some polished high level aesthetic. You feel like somebody's actually giving you this review like, hey, girls, I bought this coconut oil. And because it feels so raw, it raises the intent so high. Like people just are so much more primed to buy on there. So I would never tell somebody like, oh, you're going to see this specifically. But in general, if you can get like, I don't know, 1 million organic views on TikTok, that's going to turn into like $30,000 of sales. It's right around that.
That's the metric.
Yeah.
What is that? Call it click path or prospect path from organic. Do they go to a link tree and then they end up on a site?
So weirdly, it doesn't seem to have any effect. That like you would think that like, okay, so first I'm going to the link and then there's a link tree and then I have to go find this and then I have to go. You would think that would like break the journey a lot more than it does.
Friction, right?
But because you're creating such a strong connection with the content itself, so like just kind of imagine with me like you land on this content that it has 1 million views and you see the fun that's happening in the comment section, you're hearing about it, and then by the time you got to the end of it, you're just like, shut up and take my money. So the things that would normally cause like a big hang up, like, well, we got to fix this, it just doesn't seem to have that big of an effect because they've already gone through the fun of the process and they're like, I want this.
It's that FOMO,
Yeah.
right? And to
I mean,
some degree, they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. And like it definitely helps if you don't have a link tree and you're going straight to the website for sure. But it's just not that big of a deal.
Right. What about products versus services, right? We have your new slippers here with us.
The slippies.
Like an e-commerce product purchase versus what you actually do in your core business is you're selling a strategic service in bringing businesses up to speed in this space. How do those two things differ, and how do you approach them differently in TikTok?
I actually don't do a ton of service-based stuff on TikTok anymore just because they don't need a lot of help anymore. It is really, really common to see somebody with like 10,000 followers on TikTok be fully built out at like $50,000 a month because they've developed their offer and the few 300, 400 views that they're getting per post is enough. that's bringing them enough qualified traffic that they don't need much more than that.
What's
So-
a good follower target? Like how many
Define
followers?
good.
Well, I mean, even before a follower target, or maybe so, but like the age demographic is important.
It's
right?
skewing older and older.
Really,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
I told you I was on it, Robert.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Got skewed.
Yeah. So
Crazy,
I
right?
just blew their whole algorithm.
Yeah. They're like, who
I
is this
had to
guy?
get my 10-year-old on it to like bring back the median into the right demo.
More than 50% of TikTok users now are over the age of 30.
And they actually have the app,
That's
or is
old.
it?
Yeah.
Is it? Because I don't
Old
have
Mark.
that personally, but I'll get TikTok sent to me, and then I'll watch the TikTok.
But you won't get the app.
I won't get it.
Yeah.
Same here.
But you're still on it.
Well,
Still watching it.
what about but there's a very it feels to me a very seamless integration between TikTok generated content that is appearing on those other platforms and carrying that TikTok watermark.
Yeah, they transfer to Reels.
Yeah,
Right?
they basically do.
But is that a natural function or is that a strategic move by that creator to just
No,
build on
it's-
TikTok and then post it on their reel?
It's because TikTok is greedy and they don't like sharing their content. So you can't save anything from TikTok without it auto downloading the watermark into it. So that's just what TikTok does.
Is it an easier creator platform? Isn't that part of what they're like creator tools? So is that why
It's gotten a lot better.
even IG influencers are maybe creating their own content based on the usability of the TikTok content generate like all their little tools, the green screens and the stuff happening behind. and-
Yeah, I mean, it was meant to be immersive. And in the early days, we had a boost associated with filming in the app. And then as
Right.
new tools would come out, like you'd get little boosts from this and little boosts from that. And that was the smartest thing they ever did because they trained us to all film in the app if we wanted to really squeeze the life out of these posts. And then you couldn't take it anywhere else because it's watermarked.
Right.
So they really forced people to create for TikTok, and that created a whole TikTok culture, which was like raw and real. And like, I don't have my makeup done, but I want to talk about this, so I'm going to film it. Where on Instagram, the whole thing is very much more controlled. And so Instagram has tried to play catch up with these tools that suck and they're horrible and it's hard to use.
How are the algorithms different between TikTok and Reels?
One is a popularity graph. So Instagram is a popularity graph, meaning you need to max out that first hour and get like as much as you can in that first hour. And that's kind of going to indicate whether you live or die,
Really,
Yeah.
that first hour is everything.
which
Your
is why.
engagement in those out. Like
Yeah.
how many likes, comments you're getting
Yeah.
in that hour.
Watch time for Reels and then likes for posts. But that first hour is really where you're going to know if it's going somewhere or not, which
so
was
time
why
of day, like
matters a lot.
what
Which-
times
It's
are
different by everybody's account because
in Reels different than TikTok on times, I'm assuming too, right? Or-
everything's different. Yeah.
don't
So
match
you
up
at
well.
least you get analytics with both, so you can go see when your audience is online. But that's why people are so obsessed with their post time because you have to max out that hour. So if your people are online at 1, you better be posting at 12:55, so it's indexed by the time at 1 p.m. that everyone's in there. But the popularity graph works like that, which is also why like 2 or 3 years ago we would see like if you were already popping on Instagram, you would get more and more and more and more and more popping, and growing there was like impossible. And then TikTok changed that because what they use is like an equal opportunities. Anything that gets dropped into the TikTok algorithm, it all has a fair shake at going viral. It matters if you can pass the view gate. So like, let's say you get dropped to 10 people and 8 of them watch it all the way through. Okay, that's good. Let's send it to another 50. Okay, and they watch it too. We're gonna push. Every single video that goes up has that same shot. And if it gets dropped into 10 people and they don't watch it, then it dies.
Yeah, so you're
So it's
calling your
much
friends
more-
and like, hey, I just dropped something great. Like and share it now.
Yeah,
Watch
You
it
can.
and watch it all the way through twice.
you can.
That's a good.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
And Instagram is now trying to adopt that because it worked so well with TikTok and everybody got to feel like I can be a celebrity. All I have to do is learn how to do this. Where Instagram was like, I'm gonna buy followers. Because there was no way to grow.
Yeah.
Because it was either you were popular or you were not. You either
Does
got
Instagram
on when
make
it
money
first.
off buying followers or?
No, it's like super illegal, but
Okay.
it's social media.
But that's the
illegal.
only way.
That's what people did because
Yeah.
it was like you either joined early, you were an early adopter and got a lot of followers, but because it was a popularity graph, that was it. And growing there was just impossible. And now they're moving over to the same format that TikTok has, which is equal
great.
opportunity.
And maybe even pull people back from TikTok
That's
because
exactly why
I
they
get
did it.
tired of seeing the same people on top of my feed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. I'm going to just unfollow them. I'd like to see a wider range, a
Same.
different variety.
Yeah. And then that's another annoying thing that Instagram does is like they filter out the top performers per who you're following. So if you're following 3 Kardashians and Kanye West and 10 of your family members, well, your family members' posts aren't performing. So they just get pushed to the bottom of the pile. So the more you perform, the more rank you get. And it's not a chronological feed anymore. Now it's who's performing.
Who's performing? And then is it a time thing as well where you have to be posting every day?
So
Or like a quantity over quality? Or is it well, let me rephrase that.
okay.
Is TikTok versus Reels, is it quality over or quantity on these?
So against what everybody else says, I will always say quantity or quality over quantity.
Really? Okay.
Everybody else will say differently, but the way I have it figured is that if you spend enough time in your script, you can essentially guarantee that you're going to get views. So I would way rather spend 3 hours writing a script that I know is going to get 400,000 or 500,000 views or more and have that level of effort than do 10 pieces that get 300, 300, 300, and this one maybe got 10,000.
Yeah, don't
So,
post
like-
anything unless you're hitting your mission, your vision.
And it's really important with TikTok, especially because the way this one performs is going to a little bit affect this one. Like if this one performed really, really well, like got 1 million views, the next post that goes up, instead of being served to that little 10 people, it's going to be served to maybe 500, maybe 1,000. It's going to be bigger gates. And if you are posting things that are terrible, then they're going to decrease who it gets served to. So it's really important to
Give a
stay
less chance
on.
of winning.
Yeah.
It's interesting
They're
because
impacting your own like they're gonna run a derivative on your probability right
Yeah.
off the bat. So
Yeah.
that beginning is so important.
Super important. Which is also why we trash
and that goes back
accounts that
to
have been
your
used
call to
already and we
action.
start them over.
That you're consulting when you go in and you create that call of action, that hook that grips them in to propel it to
Yeah, just like the spiciest brain burning hook we can come up with.
yeah.
Wow. So it's
the
not just show up
spiciest.
in a podcast studio. Is that what you're telling us?
I mean, thankfully, this is long form. We can do whatever we want. We don't have to try to suck people in for 30 seconds.
It's interesting how far behind Instagram is because you don't even use Instagram. We were
I
just speaking
don't.
about that before this. You're straight TikTok because that's where the money's at.
yeah.
So everybody would be pushing over to TikTok to generate revenue, and Instagram's.
I don't know why
being
people
left behind.
don't. I went to a maker's fair recently. It had 300 small vendors, and I started asking everybody, what's your TikTok? What's your TikTok to it? And they were like, I'm not there yet. Bro, while you're not there yet, the coconut oil guy is pushing $100,000 in sales a day through TikTok Shop.
Yeah, and is your name important too?
Kind of.
Is it?
What's more important is optimizing. So, like,
Yeah.
your name is like whatever, but as
They'll
long
find
as you
you
have
if you
your
have the good content.
So what I
like-
like to recommend people to do is like, so you have your name, Kaila Yuli, but then I use the rest of that space for SEO. So I'm not just Kaila Yuli, I'm Kaila Yuli Small Business Tips. So you pack it into the name.
Yeah, love it.
Smart.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you coming in and
Wait,
helping
did I
us.
talk the whole time?
That was the
No.
point. That was the point.
Perfect. You
We
did great.
we want to
Hey,
learn.
I was
We
just-
want to
I
learn.
was
I want to
learning.
learn from you
I
guys too.
Well,
I'm
you can come
downloading
back
TikTok.
Huh?
for another episode.
Okay.
But we do have one question. We talk a lot about like from a career perspective, being an employee versus an owner. You've been out on your own for a long time. What's the best part of your day as an owner? And then what's the stuff where you're like, why am I doing this?
The best part is that nobody gets to tell me what to do.
Right.
I got to come to Vegas this week and see all you guys because I wanted to. I didn't have
Right.
to ask anyone's permission. I love that. I'm like, I would be a terrible employee. I really would. Like, you would not ever want to have me like officially working for you because I don't like being told what to do and I want to get coffee when I want to get it and I don't want to punctuate my sentences or cross my T's,
Those are
I
the
wouldn't hire me.
those are the best employees, but they're the hardest to retain, right? Because you're going to go out and find
And
out
keep
how to
engaged.
do it the best way. Keep engaged. Yeah, you're the type A
Keep
talent.
rewarded.
Yeah.
To
How
keep
do
the
you,
compensation right.
my full time, how do we retain these people?
Right. How do we make it
Yeah.
interesting?
How do I keep her?
How do
around?
we keep a development path that keeps your talent
He's
as
stimulated.
something that we could help our businesses? Yeah.
What's
What's the hardest part?
The hardest part is kind of the easiest part too. So along with not no one getting to tell me what to do, like every day I have this like image in my head, like I can either struggle now and have what I want 5 or 10 years from now, or I can struggle for somebody else and have a locked in salary with a locked in this and a locked in that. Like I know where that route takes me. It takes me to being a manager at a bank and doing this and then just, okay. I get so much energy out of like, this is all dependent on me. So every day I'm like, I can steer this ship exactly where I want it to go and I'm betting on myself. And I know where I can take myself. So I love that. But then I remember that I don't want to pay for health care. And I don't have health insurance. And I don't know how to get health insurance. So that's probably the worst part of the day. Is when I remember that I am mortal and I need to go to the doctor at some point in my life.
What about though, like as a sole prop, like that's important, but also
yeah. I mean,
like, you're a sole proprietor and we were speaking about you're running a merchant account as well through your business, right?
yeah.
And then like navigating how to find a merchant account's important.
Yeah.
And not being overcharged as healthcare is expensive.
It is expensive.
How do I cut equity out of,
I don't want to
margin?
pay $1,200 a month for someone to look at my skin and say, but I don't know.
Yeah. So how do you save that money, right? That's
It's not even like it's more like I could spend an hour trying to optimize my website a little more, or I could spend an hour trying to find a doctor. Which one sounds more fun?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Always.
And then pay for the consequences when I get sick. And then I'm like, I should have done the other one.
Yeah. We've talked about just that grind and the love of the grind.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to do anything else.
We-
But something I wanted to say about the merchant services that you're talking about. So with my audience, a lot of them, they don't know what they don't know. So like to you guys, that seems so obvious. Like you need a better merchant service. You need lower fees. You need this. The first time I talked about on TikTok, nobody even knew what I was talking about. They just
Merchant
thought you
services.
get what you get with Shopify and that's it forever. So like what you guys are doing is so cool because like it's a lot of these small business owners just don't know. They don't like the same way they don't know what conversion rate optimization is. They don't know what this is.
Right.
So I'm super excited.
Yeah. Well, when you're buying a car, you shop and try to get the best deal. Did you do that when you were getting your merchant?
Absolutely not. I mean, now I know to do it, but 2 years ago, did I know to do that? No.
Yeah. Just take their word for it.
You just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. And so
Well, you're much more focused on, you have an idea, you have a concept, you have customers. If I need to use a merchant account is great, right? That means someone bought from me.
Exactly.
It's at the bottom of the things that you're caring about. Like if I have to
if
worry,
it's working, if it's broke, why fix it?
and
Why-
then it keeps
why if it's
working,
not broke, why
right?
not?
And
Yeah.
then you're like, all right, my business is growing. Then that's creating a whole bigger snowball of things that you need to worry about, fix, grow, and you're still stuck on that first decision of, well, I hope I need to use a merchant account, right?
Yeah.
But yet your business, you've done all that thought around developing the business, developing the audience, how critical the content is, that
Yeah.
timing. And the thing that drives me nuts and why we got into this business for the merchant account is everything is either about top line or bottom line. So you're either trying to scale your revenue to the moon and or contain your expenses. And the merchant account slides right under the radar. It's a racket, and it is the most controllable piece that is just a phone call away, right? So it's one of those things where during this whole business development exercise, you're focused on big grow, and Then you get into expense control and it's turning tiny little dials. There's this little dial hiding in the corner
But it's a big dial.
and no one will talk about because I think it's a bit of a racket because it's like banks that hold your money. When I have talk about an experience taking a certified check out of one business account and being like, okay, now I want to put this certified check from your bank into this account. And they did a 3-day hold. I'm like, you just told me that I had the money and now you're saying I don't have the money. So cell phones, cable companies, it's all these like incremental hidden fees. And if your business is growing, you're worrying about big picture stuff. That's what they're getting away with. So that's a big thing that we're entering into the space for.
Yeah.
Because again, our theme is small business owners for small business owners. Like the giving away margin, and it's a phone call away.
It's just, that's absolutely amazing to me. Just so I really think once people know more about this, they're going to be like, it is the biggest no-brainer that I never knew that I needed. That's what's going to happen.
The same thing. That's what happened with us, right, Mark?
Yeah, it's a lot of education. Just
we had our
people
merchant
don't
account
know.
audited. Like
Yeah.
go into
Oh.
that.
Oh, well, yeah, we processed a couple 100,000, and I think we were able to save something like $1,600, $1,800 a month.
Wow.
So that, for the average business, that pays a lease, an employee, your health insurance.
That's your health insurance.
You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, there's a lot of hidden fees in merchant accounts, and unless you really take a look at it, it's just going to fly by the radar, and
And you have options.
you're going to lose that
So
money.
I
you
have
know?
a very painful experience with this. So Brilly is my vintage business, the one that I lost from the cyber attack. The very first 6-figure month that we had, I was like, oh my God, I've made it. This is great. And I was like having a little win. And then I found out through John, who we all know, I found out through him about merchant services. And I found out how much money I was hemorrhaging. And the only reason I knew was because I was like, oh, I had a really great month. This is my first ever 6-figure month. And I was calling to celebrate. And it was like, pew.
Oh.
Because did they knock you out of the 6-figure?
Yes.
So they actually took that milestone from you.
Yes, they did. And I was like, so that's how I found out. And yeah,
Yeah, it's
it deflated. It took the wind out of my sails.
well, having done a lot of different businesses, we explored this for a little while, and it's a super competitive space. But everyone is switch to us, we'll get you a better rate. Switch to us, it's a better rate. And we took a different approach. The way we're differentiating as 5-star merchant advocates is small business advocates for merchant services. So what we first will attempt to do is at least negotiate with your current provider. So if you talk to us, it doesn't mean you have to switch. We are not saying come to us and we'll get you a better rate, but you need to switch. First approach is, don't you want someone who knows the business to take a look at your statement? We'll do that for free. We have a team of advocates, with merchant advocates, that are versed in looking at these statements, finding these hidden fees. There are compliance fees that are mandatory, that are regulated, and there are some that are not. So as a small business owner, do you know that difference? No, but our advocates do.
Nope.
And so we take a look at getting rid of those fees and then negotiating down to something that's closer to a wholesale rate versus what they've been able to eke forward. If that is, that is always going to be an option. Or because of the relationships that we've established with other providers, we can say, based on the type of business, some of these are set up better for certain business types, based on the type of business you are, based on the volume that you're running. Our experience is that this is actually a much better technology. This is going to give you a much better rate. It's going to make your sales force more efficient, all sorts of different features and benefits. That's not in our marketing. Our marketing is there's a good chance you're getting taken for a ride.
I love that.
Give us a chance to find out yes or no.
So who can use this? Like, do you need to be at a certain sales level? Can you be just starting? Like, who should start investigating this? for their
Anybody and
business?
everybody.
Anybody and everybody.
We literally just ran across an account. This lady is paying 12%, and she's a small volume processor, but we're here to help everybody.
Everybody, that's
so
amazing.
12%, we got to get her down to, a wholesale rate or back down to normal there. But yeah, anybody and everybody.
There's another option too, which 40% of businesses are on, and some business owners have an appetite for, and some do not, which is actually having the credit card owner pay those fees. So if you've been in a restaurant and you've run your card and you've seen convenience fee, or they'll put something right on the counter. If you use your credit card, that's 3.5% on top. 40% of businesses are on it, which means 60% of businesses are not. And we're educating business owners on that option. We had a conversation earlier today where someone was like, isn't that illegal to pass that on? Right? And it's not.
That's the easiest way to put money in your pocket. Like you said, if you're, doing 100,000, you're giving away $3,000 a month. You just switch to that program. That $3,000 goes right to your bottom line. And
Two health insurance. Don't you have a couple of roommates?
Yes. So I have another question. So a lot of business services are kind of tailored for people who are already at somewhat high revenues. Services like this could really, really help somebody whose revenues are not that high and they're looking for places to cut and save and put some money back. But most of what's available is like you're either already at $50,000 a month and we'll help you now, or you're doing more than that, we'll help you now. But there's just not a lot available for people who are really in that critical point where they need those extra couple bucks. Like,
we can help them.
You
Absolutely.
can help them.
Yep.
There's no,
That's
we're not
amazing.
we're here to help all businesses, and those, like you said, those are the individuals we want to help them out and help them grow and give them, some good business advice,
Yeah.
consulting, and grow with them. That program may not work for your business, but, you could go like on a wholesale program. Every business is different. You have an e-commerce. I don't think your clients are gonna, they already have that ether to buy. They're not gonna worry about a 30-cent convenience fee, but it's gonna save you $3,000 a month. So that's where you really need to take advantage. And maybe, if you have this local coffee shop that is nothing but locals,
Repeat customers.
yeah, you probably don't want to go with that program, but you want to get them a wholesale rate or something like that. But really, it just depends on what kind of business you're operating, what you're doing, and how you feel comfortable. Some people don't feel comfortable with passing on those fees.
Yeah. Well, and then, some of them don't even know they have options that are other than, eating it or passing it on. There is the wholesale.
We
There's
talk
so
to
many
clients.
options.
Yeah. How much? I have a client. He didn't know he was paying $12,000 a month in processing fees.
Wow.
So, he has a successful restaurant. He does well, but $12,000 a month is
And
that's significant.
out of sight, out of mind, right?
Absolutely.
You're dealing with that once a month.
Well, when you talk about a business too, this is cash flow, right? This is cash flow that actually never makes it into your business. And for a business, we were talking about scaling employees, right? And like, well, where are we going to try to find the funding for this new full-time employee that we need? Talked a little bit about the merchant. There's two full-time employees just tied up in their merchant fees, right? So that's real instant.
Oh my God, what a way to look at that.
Right? That's real instant liquidity. Now, how much more are two employees going to do to help grow your business versus a transaction fee going into a racket of an institution that is just piling cash in?
Yeah, the banks, they don't need any more money.
And what a great hook for some content someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep that one in the
I
back.
love
that.
Yeah.
Any
But-
parting words, Cody?
Raiders.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in and
Thank you.
speaking with us about
Yes.
It was
Actually,
tough.
get the plug in for Train to Hunt.
Train to Hunt. And Bass
Train to
Pro.
Hunt.
What is that's a IG handle?
Yeah, Train to
on-
Hunt's an IG handle. And a lot of these questions is beneficial for the Train to Hunt business, right?
Oh.
Because I call it shadow banned, right?
Oh.
Because it is hunting and it's harder to, if you have horns or meat on there, then it's like a no-no and you get banned. So
Oh, yeah.
the time of day, transferring our reels into TikToks to get engagement, to get clicks, to get clients.
Are you
So
having the problem on both Instagram and TikTok?
we
Or does
don't,
it seem more?
we don't have a TikTok.
No TikTok. So
So we're going to have a TikTok tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so,
you're feeling the burn a little bit on Instagram?
oh, yeah.
little bit.
I mean, we have 20,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the craziest thing. Sometimes it will take off and we'll have 36,000 views.
Yeah.
Other times we'll have 1,500. And we have 20,000 followers. How are these people? And I'll post on Train to Hunt, then I'll go to my personal feed and it won't pop up.
Okay, so all right, so shadow bans technically don't exist. Whatever, we all know they exist, but they don't exist. When that happens, you're gonna stay under that until you follow the rules for a set of time. And what you need to do is go through all of your posts and the ones that you suspect triggered something, delete the ones that you think are it. Go through the hashtags that you're not showing up on because you're definitely removed from the algorithm there. If you're going on your personal, you're looking, you're not there. Yeah, that one needs to either come down or have all the hashtags.
Take it
scrubbed
down
out of it.
immediately. No, especially
down
in
and
that
scrub
first
it.
hour. If it doesn't work, get it out is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying go back. Like you've identified like this particular piece is not in the system.
Yeah, you're doing an inventory.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But you don't have to do it in the first hour. You can just be like, okay, something's wrong. Go back and look for
Okay.
it. But then the most important thing is you have to be super well behaved to get out of the ban. So you have to now that you figured out your ban, the next 2 weeks, it'll be depending on how bad you got pushed into the toilet. It can be 10 days, it can be 2 weeks, sometimes it can be a month on Instagram. We're just talking Instagram for this. So you have to now, the next post cannot contain any of the tags that set off the trigger. The caption needs to be squeaky clean. Like it just has to be almost like family friendly to the max to jailbreak yourself.
Put
Yeah.
some Mickey Mouse stuff up.
Awesome. Well, I
Nice.
appreciate
Bluey.
your.
Not fun.
Louis.
Yeah,
But
I
if you
appreciate
don't do that, you can stay in there for like a year or two because you just don't know that you're constantly
Yeah.
triggering it
Crazy.
over and over. And they're never going to admit to you. They will never say you're shadow banned. They don't admit that exists, but you proved it to yourself by looking for the content which you didn't see. Okay, hello.
Yeah.
We all know what that means.
I'm also plugging Cape Cod Fish, which is friends of mine on Cape Cod of an apparel brand, IG shop.
Nice.
Check them out. Cool lifestyle gear.
Nice. I'm not plugging anything.
I'm not
How about
either.
them Raiders?
Oh, that's.
We're going to the
tonight.
Raiders Chargers game. I'm
Yeah, we got to get going
former
here soon.
Chargers season ticket holder, Pats fan, but it's always fun to
Jump
go
on
to
the
a Raiders
bandwagon
game
for a
with.
day.
It came out last year for Pats Raiders
Yeah,
and
yeah.
8 Crow,
Yep.
right? So then I stuck McDaniels on you.
Oh,
that
boy.
lasted a really long time. The slippers. Where do we find the slippers?
Yeah.
It's Puffy Slippers.
Puffy slippers.
Just Google
It's
Puffy
puffyslippers.com.
All right.
I need to get
Puffy
some.
Slippers. It's a very obvious name, I feel.
They're so light.
Keep an eye under the
awesome.
Christmas tree in the Ford household for those, that's for sure.
Oh, I'll send you a bunch of them.
Yes.
But they don't come in size 15
Well, I didn't.
for the 3 people out there that need them in that size.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'll work
Normal
on
size
you
people.
getting a custom 15.
He has a Shaq chair.
I want
He needs
one
a
of these.
Shaquille O'Neal chair, so.
I want a pair.
Let
but-
me see how.
I have to make them into
Yeah,
sandals.
just cut off the toes.
Just cut him into Burks.
They are
Yeah,
awesome
there
though.
you go.
That's
We
the
can put a
trend.
little extender in the middle. And
These are going to take off.
They look comfortable.
They're so light. Yeah.
they're so comfy.
Nice. Well, it's another episode of Add, Edit, Delete. Where thank you, Kaila. We obviously learned a lot.
Me too.
And can't wait to do it again. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching another episode of Add, Edit, and Delete. Small business owners helping small business owners scale correctly. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.